Hey little kitties, Mama's getting ready to videotape. Hello, my name is Chanel, this is Spirit and Stardust, and today I'm wrapping up the books that I've read this week. Now yesterday I was feeling really good in regards to my mental capacity after months and months of intense brain fog, and I thought maybe I'll actually be able to articulate myself well today. And then at 3 a.m. I got woken up by just a cacophony of noises, and I discovered that one of my cats had opened my closet, opened up my yarn box, taken out a couple of balls of yarn, and all three cats were just having a grand old time. So I don't think it's going to go as well today as I had hoped, but we shall see. So this week I read 9 books, 6 fiction, 2 non-fictions, and 1 graphic novel. So I'm going to start with the graphic novel first, and that is Heartstopper by Alice Oseman. Boy meets boy, boys become friends, boys fall in love. So I'll just show you some of the illustration style. So it's black and white. I don't want to give anything away. Look, I gave it, what did I give it? I didn't write it down. I can't remember. I think it would be like maybe 3.5 stars. It'd be something like that. It's very sweet. It's very quick to read. I just breezed right through it. It's just, I read it because there's so much hype surrounding it, obviously, and there's a TV show now about it, so I thought, let me give it a read. But I don't really want to read about teenage romances, and that is what it is. It is a teenage romance. It's a very sweet teenage romance, and it's nice to see representation, but just for me personally, I just don't enjoy teenage romances anymore. I'm too old. But yeah, I can see why so many people like it. It's just it's just very easy to read, and it's very sweet, and it's very romantic, and it just gets right into it pretty much. So I understand it's a bit of sort of slice of teenage life, I guess, in the modern era. But yeah, that was Heartstopper. I will not be continuing on just because, like I said, Hasty will be, it's just not, oh my darling, it's not for me. So on to the next. I might do the non-fiction first, then I can get into the meaty stuff. So I read Intolerance Friendly Kitchen by Georgia McDermott. So it's pretty much FODMAP, gluten-free, you know, there's vegan stuff in here. I'll show you some of the photographs. And, as I say that, don't even get a single recipe. So there is, even though it's mostly sweet coming up, there is savoury in here as well. I have made 1 recipe so far from in here, and that was the Any Flour Goes chocolate cookies, which is this one, and they were amazing. So that I showed them in my craft cafe segment. They were absolutely delicious, highly recommend. Just really fudgy, moussey, crinkly. They were a bit bitter because it's made with dark chocolate. So if you don't like bitter, maybe do a mix of milk and dark. But yeah, it's been pretty good. I don't think I'll be using it much. I put this on reservation eons ago, back when I, was struggling with a lot of gut issues, and I'm not so much anymore. So the next book I read was Biodynamic Gardening for Health and Taste by Hilary Wright. This was very interesting. So it talks about sort of the history of gardening. I would say like the grandfather of biodynamic gardening would be Rudolf Steiner. Yes, the dude that also sort of started the Waldorf Steiner school movement. I found this fascinating. Biodynamic is just like a smorgasbord. It's not just organic principles, it also delves into astrology, the moon phases, everything. I'm looking into it because my partner and I are becoming gardeners. And although we do organic gardening, I thought, is there more that we can do? And I'd heard about, like with the moon, how planting seeds at certain times yields better crops because of something about like the pulling the moisture in. Don't know everything, I'm not going to say everything, but this is sort of so sweet too. This is a flower clock. So back in the day, one way that they told time was by flowers. So certain flowers would open at certain times. So morning glories would open between 5 to 6, dandelions 7 to 8, and they would close at certain times. So you could tell by looking at the flower, is it open, is it closed, what time it was. And I just thought that was fascinating. So yes, this was very interesting. I'll be using some of the principles in it. Not everything, it's a bit much, like there's a lot. So I don't have time to like churn water for an hour, for instance, but some things I will be implementing. So that was really fascinating. Now on to the books. So I'm going to, I read 3 books of a series, and that series was the Guild Codex Unveiled. So I read The One and Only Crystal Druid, I read The Long Forgotten Winter King, and The Twice Scorned Lady of Shadow. It's by Annette Marie. I pretty much gave them all 4 stars. I'll give you a synopsis. I'm not your average girl. My best friend is my switchblade. My favourite hubby is using it on the cruel, the abusive, and anyone who gets on my bad side. I'm a convicted murderer with a chip on my shoulder and a dangerous lack of restraint. And then there's Zach. His rap sheet makes mine look tame. The bounty on his head is worth more money than I'll ever make, and the deadly fae that shadow his step wield more power than I'll ever know. He's the crystal druid, and his first mistake was setting foot on my turf. His second was saving my life, and his final mistake will be failing to realize that however dark, however ruthless, however broken he is, I'm worse. So, yes, as you know, I read 3. The 4th one, I think, is coming out. I think this would have been better as one book, personally. It's what it felt like. It didn't really feel like installments in a series. It just felt like one book that was just chopped up and drawn out. So that's one thing. I liked the main character, Saber. I thought she was pretty cool. Zach's pretty cool. In that respect, though, they're both 2 very messed up people. I'm trying not to curse as much. They are very messed up. Hence, their relationship is messed up. So they both have very traumatic backgrounds. They were abused. They witnessed their parents murdered. It's like all this very heavy stuff. Zach was someone's slave. So I think they need a lot of therapy. I just was reading. I was like, guys, you need to go to therapy. Like, you need some help. You need some professional help. It's the first time I've ever like. I think it's because it's in a contemporary setting that I was thinking like maybe they should see someone for their issues. So yeah, the only thing too is I don't like all the back and forth when it's like they're all over each other, then they hate each other, and then they're all over each other. And it's the reason they hate each other is because they're not communicating. So she's holding this grudge over something he did, but turns out she doesn't remember the whole story. So he's also holding a grudge against her. And it's just like, just sit and talk it out, guys. Like, I know they're so messed up, they don't know how to communicate, but like this could be resolved if they just both sat down and said, hey, I was hurt when you did this. Well, let me explain why I did this and why I feel hurt by you. And it could all be solved. So that sort of thing really just gets my goat. I'm not a big fan of that sort of shtick anymore, personally. But besides that, another thing with Saber, I don't know if I should talk about it now, but she's got some things where, turns out her powers were like dampened, but she actually does have powers, but she doesn't really want to like train. But then she sees herself as being weak, and it's that sort of thing again, where it's like either decide you don't want to train these powers that you have and stay weak, or do some training, learn how to wield your magic, and strengthen yourself. Rika is her sort of familiar. I can't get, like I said, into the nitty-gritty without revealing stuff. I was sort of disappointed in how he turned out. I'll explain that in the spoiler section. Lady of Shadow 2, there's things there that I saw coming and I was like, how did you not see this coming? I still want to know how the series ends, even though there's a lot of things I'm just like, it's still interesting enough that I want to find out how it all finishes. I still think it should just be one book, personally. That's just my opinion. But yeah, it was still fun. It's enjoyable. Like I said, I gave them all 4 stars. Could it be even more amazing? Yes, it could have, but it's still great for what it is. Next up, we have Crescent City, the first in the Crescent City series, House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. I gave this 3.75 stars. I have a lot to say about this one. Bound by blood, tempted by desire, unleashed by destiny, Bryce Quinlan had the perfect life, working hard all day and partying all night, until a demon murdered her closest friends, leaving her bereft, wounded, and alone. When the accused is behind bars, but the crimes start up again, Bryce finds herself at the heart of the investigation. She'll do whatever it takes to avenge their deaths. Hunt Athalar is a notorious fallen angel, now enslaved to the archangels he once attempted to overthrow. His brutal skills and incredible strength have been set to one purpose: to assassinate his boss's enemies, no questions asked. But with a demon wreaking havoc in the city, he's offered an irresistible deal. Help Bryce find the murderer, and his freedom will be within reach. As Bryce and Hunt dig deep into Crescent's underbelly, they discover a dark power that threatens everything and everyone they hold dear, and they find in each other a blazing passion, one that could both set them free if they'd only let it. So for me, this is a massive book, right? Like, it is over 700 pages. I do not feel like it needs to be over 700 pages. There are some books that I do think, yes, you need it to be that long to get through it all, but this one, no, it could have been brought way down. The first half of the book, I was actually close to DNFing it, I'm not gonna lie, but because I loved the ACOTAR series so much, I thought, let me read the whole book, because I know that she's also the queen of, like, you know, twists, like, surprise, this isn't what you thought it was gonna be like. So I thought, let me continue. So I bumped it up to 3.75 because the last 25% of the book was like, wow, everything's going down, and that was a ride. So that was great. In terms of the main characters, Bryce and Hunt, I don't like either of them. I think that's the biggest issue. I didn't like either of them at all. I will tell you the characters I did like. I liked Fury. I liked Rune. I liked the Medwitch. I can't say more than that. I liked the new queen of the witches. And I liked, there's one more person. I forget his name. It starts with a T. He's the Mer-King dude. I want to say Tharian. It could be that. It could not be. I'm going to get into this more in the spoiler section and break it down. Am I going to continue with the series? I thought perhaps I might, to see what happens to my favorite characters, but I read the, the reviews of some of the other people on Goodreads and found out that my favorite characters are not really in the next one, so I'm like, no. And another favorite character, Idis, the demon prince. Love them. But yeah, because they're not featured, no, because the next book's 800 pages, and I'm like, there's just no way. And Bryce and Hunt are still the main people, and I was like, I don't want to read about them anymore. So I will not be continuing, but I have a lot to say about it. The next one is Youre the Reaper by Makia Lucier. I gave this 4 stars. The past never forgets. Before an ambush by enemy soldiers, Lord Cassier was an engineer's apprentice on a mission entrusted by the king. But when plague sweeps over the land, leaving countless dead and devastating the kingdom, even Cass's title cannot save him from a rotting prison cell and a merciless sickness. 3 years later, Cass wants only to return to his home in the mountains and forget past horrors. But home is not what he remembers. His castle has become a refuge for the royal court, and they have brought their enemies with them. When an assassin targets those closest to the queen, Cass is drawn into a search for a killer, one that leads him to form an unexpected bond with a brilliant young historian named Lena. Cass and Lena soon realize that who is behind the attacks is far less important than why. They must look to the past, following the trail of a terrible secret, one that could threaten the kingdom's newfound peace and plunge it back into war. Okay, so as you know, I gave this 4 stars. This was really fun. I liked the main character, Cass. He did sound way older than his years, son. Like, for some reason in my head, I'm like, this man in his 30s. No, it's supposed to be a teenager. And I was like, that doesn't add up. That doesn't jive with me. So that was a bit of a thing. I was like, I just don't want to picture him as a teenager. If I'd known I want to read the book, I just don't want to read books for teens as the main characters. That being said, like, he didn't seem like a teenager at all. Sounded like a fully grown man. I liked there's like a smidge of romance in here. I did like that. It's not for that though. This is more of a mystery. Solve, the mystery. Find the murderers. Is it what you think it is? no, it's not. So this was really interesting. I enjoyed it. It's got some dark themes in it, guys, so I don't normally issue content warnings, but yeah, there's some content warnings in this. I'm sure you can look those up somewhere. So like I said, I can't talk about it a lot because it is about a mystery, and I can't talk about how the mystery gets solved without spoiling it. But I did enjoy it. It was fun. It was entertaining. There is a magical element to it, but it's not really explored. It's just like, they've got this sort of ability and they just leave it at that. I wish that had been delved into a bit more. That was really, really interesting, but it wasn't really utilized. So that was that one. And then we have Wild and Wicked Things by Francesca May. In a world of 1920s decadence and excess, Francesca May's irresistible debut weaves a dazzling tale of dark magic, romance and murder. On Crow Island, people whisper that real magic lurks just below the surface. Magic doesn't interest Annie Mason, not after it stole her future. She's on the island to settle her father's estate and reconnect with her long-absent best friend Beatrice, who fled their dreary lives for a more glamorous one. Yet Crow Island is brimming with temptation, and the most mesmerising may be her enigmatic new neighbour. Mysterious and alluring, Emmeline Delacroix is a figure shadowed by rumours of witchcraft, and when Annie witnesses a confrontation between Bay and Emmeline at one of the Crow Island's extravagant parties, she's drawn into a glittering haunted world, a world where the boundaries of wickedness are tested and the cost of illicit magic might be death. So I'm guessing this is meant to be my partner's making faces at me. Yeah. It's got a bit of a Great Gatsby vibe. It's done in the 1920s. It didn't feel like that though. There was times when it felt contemporary. So yeah, I DNF'd this at, I don't know how many pages, like 96 or something like that. It wasn't for me. I didn't like the writing. I didn't like the characters. It was really boring. I love you too. I just didn't care. The setting, didn't care. So I picked this literally based on the cover. I saw it at the library and thought, okay, you're pretty. I read the back. I thought it sounds interesting enough. It just wasn't for me. I found it really dull, and I was like, nope, not spending any more time on this. So that was DNF'd. I'm going to get one more thing. I'll be right back. And I'm back. I just wanted to do the Kiddos Corner, which this week was Floof by Heidi McKinnon. So it's book fair week in Australia, which means all the schools, have the books and all the kids get to go and buy stuff. And this is the one that both of my children wanted. It's basically just a slice of life in the day of a cat. Big ball of floof. It's just very cute. There's no like deep and meaningful messages. It's just, this is what a cat's like and what it does in a day in all its adorableness. So they just really love this one, and this is the one they picked, Floof. I'm going to get into the spoiler sections now. So let's begin with, which one am I going to begin with? Okay, so I'll start with the series, the Guild Codex. So as I was saying, Riker is her familiar. In the beginning, Saber thought she was a witch. Turns out she's actually a druid, and for some reason, like, druids are like worse. Not many people like them. They sort of act as like bounty hunters. Yeah, it's a bit confusing, to be honest. And Riker's actually a fae who just like shapeshifts into animals. It turns out that he was siphoning her druid power from her, making her appear like she was just a weak witch when she's actually a very strong druid, because both of her parents were druids. Both of her parents were killed under mysterious, circumstances. So she's sort of trying to like also solve their murder. Riker, you find out his identity in the end. He's a like Winter King, a previous Winter King fae. So it's like, oh, he must be so powerful. He's not just some regular fae, but he so under-delivers. This dude is just constantly getting his butt kicked and needing to be rescued. He's making all these deals. So he's also got this gift where he can't die. He's the Undying. But then he like bargains that away to Lady of Shadow. But like I said, all of his deals just turn out to be real dodge and not beneficial whatsoever. So he's just such a big letdown. Personally, he's yet to deliver, to help Saber in any real substantial way. So I don't really care for Riker at this point. like, I'm not only just questioning his power, but his intellect. Lady of Shadow. Honestly, how could they not see this coming? How could they not see that this Fae woman, she's sort of Zach's, Fae power source person they sort of share power with. How could they not see that she was totally going to double cross everybody and reach for power? She was a power hungry bitch, son. So the ending where she just destroys all of them and takes all the magic and all the power, I'm like, yeah, that's what you get for being dumbasses. So that was frustrating. Like I said, with Saber, she finds out she's a druid and she's got these druid powers, but she's like, no, I'm not, I'm a witch. And I'm just, that whole denial thing. And she's not training and figuring out how to do her magic. But then she's getting thrown in situations where she's having to defend herself. And she's like, I wish I wasn't so weak. I'm like, well, then train. Ask for help. Like, make a decision. Either you want to just deny your heritage or you're going to embrace it and utilize it for your own benefit and survival. As well as, like I said, their relationship is just that constant, So they met as children, where she was being taken care of by her abusive aunt. He had been stolen by this like demon dude who'd slaughtered his parents, stolen the child, was like training him to be his protege. I'm like, that's going to go well for you. But both of them being tortured physically. They both met when, his master went to her aunt for like poisons, and they both hatched a plan to like kill their captors and escape together. They instantly like fell in love like straight away, and she just gave him her virginity just like that. I don't even think they got each other's names at this point. But what happens is he is supposed to give her a poison to poison her aunt. She gives him a locket that's supposed to cloak him so he can sneak up on the demon dude, but her thing doesn't work because the demon dude set up like booby traps, magic things to alert him of the presence of someone. So he thinks that she's given him like a dodgy amulet, and then he gave her poison. Turns out it wasn't a poison. That's because the aunt and the demon dude got wise to their little scheming and set them up to fail. But they both blame each other. He comes back and like throws the locket at her and leaves in disgust. So she hates him because she thinks he double-crossed her, and he hated her because he thought she double-crossed him. And do you see what I mean? Like, and then they both like hinted it, and then she's like, this is why I'm mad at you. He's like, you don't even know the whole story, because she's trauma blanked most of it out of her memory. And it's just very frustrating. They just don't sit there and talk to each other, but they're like, I'm really attracted to you, and I'm really attracted to you as well. And so she's like, let's just bang before we have the discussion, because after the discussion, we're both going to hate each other, and like, we're not going to want to be together. So let's just bang out before that happens. So like I said, very problematic, a very toxic relationship. They need help. But like I said, I still enjoy it. I still want to see how it ends. So I will read the next one in the series. Now on to Crescent City, House of Earth and Blood. Like I said, I was bored. I couldn't stand the main two characters. I don't like Bryce. I don't like Hunt. Oh, Hunt especially. Ugh. He's just got like this like broness to him that I'm just not into. And Bryce just, I know she's not a diss, but they make her seem really just that way, like doesn't care, hasn't got it switched on, but she does. But it's just, I don't know. I didn't like either of their characters, and I hate it too when it turns out lo and behold, she's not just some halfling with like crappy magic. She's actually the full-on light of someone, and she can wield the horn and all this stuff. So she's like some uber mega. It's like the whole thing with Freya. Like they become like all powerful. I'm like, her. Out of everyone, you're gonna give it to her. So I didn't like her. I loved her brother Rune. Like I said, I really liked him. He's a stand-up guy. He's been dealt shit as well, but he kept trying to be there for her, and props to him. I like him. I like the mid-witch / new Queen of the Witches, surprise, and he had instant chemistry with her naturally, and she's meant to be like his future betrothed. So I don't mind that. She's pretty feisty. She took off the shackles of Hunt and set him free so he could get his vengeance. So I like her. I like him. I'm interested to see how they are together. Then there was Adas. So he was the most interesting. So he's a demon prince who likes to sometimes sneak through the rift in the form of a cat. So I'm like, oh yeah. And he was helping Bryce a lot. I might have even liked Bryce, maybe that had been her romantic interest, because I don't want to say him, like the Adas, they just seem so interesting. But turns out, like, from what people said, they are barely in the next one, so no, I'll wait until the third one comes out, and if Adas has more of a part, I'll just skip to that. So they were really cool, didn't get to know a whole bunch about them personally and their realm. And then there was, I don't know why they're helping Bryce, like, by Fury. So Fury is awesome. I don't know any of their pronouns. I'm just going to go by the regular genders. She is amazing. Who is she? We don't know. Even though she's Bryce's friend, Bryce doesn't even know who she is or what she is. So you don't even know what she is. Is she fae? Is she a witch? Is she a demon? Who is she? We don't know, but she's very powerful. People are scared of her. She does her own thing. She's in a relationship, you find out, with Bryce's other friend. I feel like her name is Paige. It might not be, but she was a bit of a nothing character to me, so I just totally forgot her out of my memory, and I also thought, Fury, really? That's who you're going for? But I get it, like, you got the bad, the dark, the grump, and then you've got the shadow, the light, bright, sunny, sweet. So I get that pairing. I do get it. But you don't see any of their interaction at all. So you don't know, like, that they're a thing. It's just Fury. Pretty much alludes to it. So I did want to learn more about Fury, but I don't really think they're in the next one much either. So because of that, I was like, no, I'm not going to read any more of it. I don't feel like the contemporary worked either. So I like I said, ACOTAR was just so great to me. I loved it. With this one, it was contemporary done in the way where all they do is, like, curse and call each other, like, bitch, slut, fuck you. It's just excessive. It's not realistic to me. I don't know anyone that speaks that way constantly, with just constant curse words and constant, friendly insults. I just don't like reading that sort of conversation. It doesn't do anything for me. In terms of her relationship with Hunt, I hated it. It was so, once again, it's like toxic. So he fully lied to her, like completely lied about knowing what the drug was and everything about it. Just complete deception. She finds out in front of everybody. Okay. And then, like, I don't even think they'd had sex at this point. They just sort of flirted a lot. So anyway, so he goes to get punished, and then she decides, you know what? I'm going to go and, like, get myself into loads of debt and try and buy his freedom. And I'm like, why? Why are you doing this to him? But it goes worse. When the angel that's got him, I think it's Sandriel, was like, no, I'm not interested. She's like, I'll give you me. I will train myself, put myself in servitude to save him. And I'm like, what? Like, this is true after she's just found out who she is and the power she wields and everything. She's just like, I'm going to, like, sacrifice myself with this guy that I haven't even really been with, but I'm just, like, suddenly in love with. He's betrayed me and lied to me almost the whole time we've been together. I can't stand that. I hate that. I hate it. It's like, you don't know him. You don't know him. He's just betrayed you. He's lied to you about something very important. Involves your dead best friend. And you're now just going to give yourself up for him, for the result of his own actions? No. So I don't like them at all whatsoever. It made me want to vomit. Thank God her brother intervenes and saves her, obviously, to which then she's like, I hate you, how dare you? And I'm like, you would have done that. If that was him doing that, you would have been like, no, bro, don't be dumb for dick. I'm going to stop you from making a colossal mistake. So that was just infuriating. Yeah, it didn't have the magic the other series had. I didn't like I said, the main characters. If you don't like the main ones, it's very hard to continue on. So that was disappointing because I know a lot of people love it. I was just like, at first I thought, am I reading the right book? I actually was a bit confused. I thought, I don't think I'm reading the right book. Is this really Sarah J Maas? So yeah, it might just be that I just love that one series of hers. Sometimes you don't like an author's entire work, but like I said, I only care about Alis and Fury pretty much. Like Starion was cute too. But I think that's everything. Do I want to talk about anything else? Oh, Youre the Reaper. Okay, so with Youre the Reaper, he has the power to see dead people and like commune with them. Very, very helpful in solving a murder mystery. But he doesn't really like, he tries to ignore it and pretend that he doesn't have that power. Like you could help so much more people with it. You could, if you're honest with your friends, like Elena ends up finding out about it. But like tell your brother that you are able to commune with his dead love, you know, and that his love, you know, so they can have like maybe a final goodbye together or something. Like, wouldn't that be amazing? You get to speak to your deceased loved one and say your goodbyes, and then he can rest in peace, and his brother can like, because his brother is just on a downward path of destruction because of it, and it's like, you could stop this. You could stop this. It's in your power. I love my cats. So that was frustrating. Him and Lena, the romance was very sweet. It was G-rated. I think they kiss once at the end. Like, that's just, oh, I like you. They were very sweet. The twist that the queen wasn't actually the queen, so the queen who was with the king and they had a child, she was actually the hand servant or the maid or whatever it is to the real queen, who unfortunately got the plague and was left in a hospital, and that queen was like to her maid, Mari, pretend to be me. We need peace between our kingdoms. Pretend to be me, marry the king, so that we can have peace and the bloodshed can be over. The problem was though that they left her there, and it turns out she survived, but one of the dodgy nurses sold her off to like a full masochist sadist doctor who loves performing experiments on human beings and would go there and buy patients from them. So he like tortured her, he cut out her whole womb, he did horrific things. It's like a house of horrors. Her and another patient there managed to overtake the doctor and kill him, and then she went on a vengeance plan, and she just went and she wanted to kill Mari's son and Mari and everybody else for leaving her behind, even though she did tell them to leave her behind, go, you know, be me, but then obviously she sees the life that should have been hers, and I understand, and she's been tortured, so she's twisted. It's one of those sad cases where you sort of do empathize. You're like, it's not really her fault, and she's not really in control of who she's become, to be honest. The circumstances have happened to her that have been devastating and horrific. But at the same time, like, yeah, she sort of has to die because she's very unhinged and she can't be allowed to go and kill Mari and their son and the king and cause war again. So it's very sad. It was very sad. But like I said, it was a fun read and I enjoyed it. And yeah, I'd probably read some more from that author. I would have liked a bit more romance. I felt like I could definitely have done with that, but it is what it is. So I can't stop playing with my cat. I can't stop playing with my cat. I can't stop playing with him. I can't stop playing with her. I love her so much. I love her so much. I love him. She doesn't like cuddles, but I'm subjected to them. So I hope you're having an excellent morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are. And as always, stay wild, stay sharp.